Bali government issues warning letter to Finn's Beach Club. It's been a while since we've talked about this one. And is Bali unsuitable for tourists in 2025? Let's see what the government has to say about that. Stay tuned for details on these and other stories. Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is November 27th, 2024, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? 30.8 degrees Celsius at 10 a.m. and it is 72% humidity and wind speed is 6.4 kilometers per hour. And not the brightest day, but okay. It is hot and humid still. And we're going to have a segment coming up on the weather a little later in the video. And this is the 27th, and it is election day. My wife's already gone out and voted today. And we will have a new governor coming up. In my unscientific poll in the kampung, looks like Coster will be the governor once again. And actually, that kind of corresponds with polls that I've seen in the press. But we'll have to wait and see what happens when all of the votes come in. And nothing on the airport, the North Bali airport today, once again, hooray. But after the election is over, we're going to see what happens. Will there be more stories? Will some groundbreaking actually happen? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But let's get on with things today and talk about Finn's Beach Club. You may remember we talked about that a lot about a month ago. And what has happened since then? Not much. A month has passed. Bali Provincial government has only issued a warning letter to Finn's Beach Club. The case of the fireworks attraction by Finn's Beach Club during a Hindu religious ceremony is still ongoing. At that time, the Salingi was performing a Mapuja ceremony. The case that occurred was on Sunday, October 13th, so actually a little over a month ago. And this went viral in various media and triggered strong reactions from various elements of Balinese society. That included politicians, people in the tourism industry, and just regular old folks. Responding to the problem that has been going on for a month, the Integrated Team for Development Guidance and Supervision, TP3 of Bali Province, chaired by Regional Secretary Dewa Made Indra, has just sent a written warning to the director of PT Samara Nusantara as the manager of Finn's Beach Club. This warning is a follow-up to the case of fireworks attraction during the implementation of Hindu religious ceremonies. The written warning, dated November 22nd, just about a week ago, signed by the head of the TP3 Bali Province, Dewa Made Indra, contained a number of findings of violations committed by the management of Finn's Beach Club. First, the management is considered to have disrespected and disturbed Hindu religious ceremonies by performing fireworks displays while the Salingi was worshipping. This action is disturbing and deeply hurts the feelings of most Balinese people. Further said that the fireworks attraction held every day from May 19th to October 15th at 1900 to 2200 is not in accordance with the concept of Balinese culture-based tourism. In addition, the management used the public area, namely the beach, as a place to launch fireworks without permission. Another violation, Finn's Beach Club has not updated or adjusted the confirmation of suitability of space utilization activities owned, resulting in overlapping use of space that is not in accordance with its designation. There is a restaurant building made of bamboo, which is known to stand in green open space subzone. In addition, the building construction permit issued in 2016 does not comply with the current condition of the existing building. And Finn's Beach Club has not fulfilled its obligation related to the building approval and certificate of functional suitability as stipulated in the provisions of the law. Finn's Beach Club also does not have environmental approval for the type of business that it's conducting, and the restaurant permit, it has not also been in accordance with current conditions. In the permit, the restaurant capacity is set at 200 seats, while conditions on the ground show the number of seats reaching 500. Based on a number of violations, TP3 Bali Province warned the management of Finn's Beach Club to respect Balinese customs and culture, including religious activities, and carrying out their business activities. The management was also asked to immediately complete and/or adjust business permits and other permits in accordance with laws and regulations within a maximum of 60 working days from the time the warning letter was received. Management is required to report in writing any completion related to business licensing and other permits to the head of the Integrated Team for Development Guidance and Supervision of Bali Province. If the club does not carry out this warning, it will be subject to further sanctions in accordance with laws and regulations. So apparently, according to this article anyway, Fins has not done anything since the original hoo-ha about all of this, and this was in the press for, weeks actually. So we'll keep an eye on this and see what happens. Okay, and what about Fodors? Fodors is an American travel guide publisher, and I mentioned this in passing, a video or 2 videos ago, that they said that Bali was a no-go for 2025. Let's see what's going on with that, because there have been some feedback from the government and other figures involved in tourism here. Bali Unsuitable for Tourists in 2025. Fodors, an American travel guide publisher, included Bali in the list of 15 designations that are not worth visiting in 2025. This claim has been widely denied, as you would expect. In its article, Fodors assessed that Bali has experienced excessive tourism or over-tourism. Uncontrolled development driven by over-tourism has encroached on Bali's natural habitat, eroded its environmental and cultural heritage, and created the plastic apocalypse, Fodor wrote in an article titled 15 Destinations to Reconsider in 2025. Head of Bali Provincial Tourism Office, Pak Jakorda Pamayun, talked about many times, has rejected this assessment. He emphasized that the island of the gods is still worth visiting by foreign tourists. I think it means that Bali is really worth visiting, huh? Not only now, but any time, he said. Pak Pamayun said the other day that he hopes foreign tourists will not hesitate to travel to Bali in 2025. He believes that the basis used as a reference by Fodors is incomplete because the travel content publisher only highlights the conditions of the densely populated southern Bali area. We admit that in South Bali, tourists are still concentrated there, he said. However, Pak Pamayun denied that Bali's tourism condition was excessive or over-tourism. He revealed that the hotel room occupancy rate throughout Bali has averaged 80% since 2019. Most of the hotel rooms are in the south. Sometimes in peak season it's 90%, but if we talk about the average, it's all of Bali. PHRI also denies Bali's over-tourists. Chairman of the Indonesian Hotel and Restaurant Association, Pak Jakorda Oka Artha Ardana Sukawati, spoke out about the assessment that Bali will not be a destination that's suitable for tourists in 2025 due to over-tourism. He firmly denied this. Bali is not really over-tourism. He then compared Bali with Singapore in terms of area. Bali has an area 8 times the size of Singapore, which cannot be said to be over-tourism. Only 1/6 of the tourists are missing. In fact, in terms of area, it cannot be said to be over-tourism. Only the regulation needs to be improved. The former deputy governor of Bali explained what the basis and benchmarks are for Bali to be called over-tourism. According to him, until now there has never been a study of carrying capacity or data supporting capacity from either side of nature, humans, or Balinese culture. Even if there are some spots that are congested, it's because the infrastructure is inadequate and the granting of business permits is uncontrolled and sporadic. And who is responsible for that? The impact is not only traffic jams, but also issues of tourist comfort and safety. So don't say Bali is over-touristy, let alone recommend that tourists not come to Bali, because this is very excessive and paradoxical. This issue with Bali being over-touristed has been talked about, but the government still insists that it's not over-touristed, even though down in the south, you see a mess down there. And the narrative still is we're going to spread tourism out over the island. But some people just don't want to come up to the north or go over to the east or go over to the west. Although you see a lot of tourism development in those areas. I think less up here in the north. So now that an internationally known tourist guide said something about this, maybe the government will get moving on things. And of course, one of the problems is pollution and plastic and trash everywhere. People just throwing their trash around. And, it was going to be cleaned up using the tourist tax. But what's happened with that? So, another story on this. Bali on unsuitable list. Tourism management must be changed. The Indonesian Tourism Intellectual Association asked for change in tourism management paradigm in Bali so that it can get off the list. The government does not understand that the current tourism paradigm has shifted, including visitor behavior, according to the general chairperson of ICPI. This is Pak Azril Azahari. Pak Azril explained that visitors currently need more participation in tourism activities from the previous, more profit approach. According to him, the World Tourism Organization, UN Tourism, has reminded that tourism must be based on local communities in order to be sustainable. According to Azril, the impacts that must be calculated in the implementation of tourism are not only from the economic side, but the socio-cultural and ecosystem, both biotic and abiotic environments, and humans with their culture. The ecosystem impact needs to be calculated in Bali because it has become a world concern. If it has an impact on the ecosystem, it accelerates climate change with ozonization and decarbonization, then the world will be even more critical, especially since it has started with the emergence of a food crisis and an energy crisis that leads to an economic crisis. Moreover, he said, we have not paid enough attention, or perhaps not paid enough attention, to the multiplier effect, namely the direct effect plus the indirect effect plus the induced effect divided by the total effect. Wow. Okay. Azrael also highlighted the importance of calculating physical carrying capacity and time and motion studies to ensure tourism does not exceed Bali's environmental capacity. He also criticized the visa-free policy, which is considered to exacerbate pressure on local ecosystems, and called for the need for tourism dezoning so that management is more controlled. As a solution, Azrael recommends a community-based tourism approach and a nucleus estate smallholders model, or people's core company, which has been proven to improve the welfare of local communities. Okay, I know nothing about this. The policy must involve local communities as managers or main implementers, while the government, regional government, and private entrepreneurs are the core drivers. The investor-based model that has often been applied so far, according to Azrael, tends to make local communities miserable and only benefits a handful of parties. He also emphasized the importance of calculating the multiplier effect. This means that we already understand how far the impact and influence of the tourism sector has gone. Perhaps it's no longer positive, but even trending towards the negative. Bali's inclusion in the Fodors list should be seen as a warning to improve tourism government by shifting to a community-based approach, paying attention to the sustainability of the ecosystem, and actively involving local communities. Bali can return to being a leading destination that attracts not only tourists, but also empowers local residents and preserves its natural beauty. So, is Bali over-touristed? Let's take a look at weather. Weak La Nina potentially increases rainfall in Bali. The weak La Nina phenomena is expected to affect weather patterns in Bali in the coming months. The Meteorology, Climatology, and Geophysics Agency, BMKG, reported that the impact of this phenomenon could cause increased rainfall in the island of the gods, especially during the peak of the rainy season. According to Bali Climatology Station forecaster staff, Happy Fabriana Abdi Bintara, weak La Nina can increase rainfall in Bali region by up to 60% of normal. Although this phenomenon occurs in the Pacific Ocean, its effects can be felt as far as Indonesia. When a weak La Nina occurs, rain in Bali often lasts longer and is more intense. For example, rain that usually falls from morning to evening can continue through the night. This intensity also happens to be heavy. Heppy added that based on this theory, weak La Nina generally occurs in a cycle of 3 to 7 years. However, global climate change has the potential to make this phenomenon occur more often. For example, weak La Nina was previously recorded in 2020 to 2022 and has now been detected again towards the end of 2024 to early 2025. Climate change can affect this pattern, so the impact may be felt more often in the future. BMKG also reminded the people of Bali to increase their awareness of the potential for extreme weather during the peak of the rainy season. This phenomenon can trigger high-intensity rain that's often accompanied by strong winds, thunder, or lightning. In addition, the potential for flooding, landslides, and infrastructure damage due to strong winds is a real threat. Heppy asked for the public to protect the environment by not littering, which can worsen the situation such as flooding. Don't throw your trash in the gutters so that it plugs them up and you get floods. As an anticipatory measure, BMKG is said to continue to monitor weather conditions in Bali, especially during the transition of seasons and the peak of the rainy season. HEPI also gave several appeals to the public, such as avoiding outdoor activities during heavy rain, not taking shelter under trees or electric poles during lightning, ensuring that drainage channels around the house are free of garbage to prevent flooding, and maintaining environmental cleanliness to minimize the impact of disasters. The public is also advised to continue to monitor the latest information through the official BMKG channel so that they can take the right anticipatory steps. Community awareness and preparedness are very important to reduce the risk of extreme weather. With the right steps, we can better face this weak La Nina phenomenon. And that is it for today. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Take care, and I will see you next time on Friday, I think.